This is about gun control. I read a book written by a young lady who was killed in an automobile accident. Her friends and family published a collection of her writings, essays, and stories. As I read it, I compiled some thoughts on being young. It's been a while for me. This was a refresher course. As I was reading that, for a video, I thought of one that puts me in mind of Holden Caulfield, and it is this, that the world is so sick, it's such a sick and twisted place, that a young person could very reasonably conclude that they did not want to be a part of it. This is the theme of many a novel. Most people do not resist. The struggle isn't worth it. And they don't exactly know how you would go about it, setting things to right. Maybe it can't be done. So they join that world and possibly soothe their pain and sorrow and disappointment over the compromise they've made by becoming political activists, thinking that they are working to make this terrible place a better world. They blame it on the system. They're going to change the system. They're going to drain the swamp. And then there was the man who built the cabin in the Canadian wilderness. He did this completely unassisted, and the accomplishment embodied by the cabin was a proud monument to hard work, skillful design, frugal expression, and the wealth found in a hearty simplicity. But there is also this. The cabin is a striking contrast to all that it is not, the madness, tangle, and tatters of the civilized world, where convenience is much more important than self-reliance, where on-demand is an almost magical power, and the do-it-yourself is, at most, a hobby. The cabin is a poignant rejection of excess. The cabin is a Tao, a way of life. Of course, Amazon Prime is also a Tao. There has been another school shooting. This time, 17 people were killed. The shooter was a 19-year-old with a history of mental problems, an AR-15, and a pocket full of ammunition clips. Survivors of the shooting are going to Washington to protest the lack of response in passing a law for gun control. They've had enough. They want to draw a line. These mass shootings are becoming a weekly event. They believe that some law would keep high-powered weapons out of the hands of crazy people, and the chances for such a horrible incident would decline. They're young, they're idealists, they've been through something terrible and shocking, and they think they can help make the world a better, safer place. And above all, they are determined to not do nothing. In one of the videos recently, I made reference to Toni Morrison's book, The Bluest Eye. In an introduction to that book, Morrison wrote, "I knew that some notions of powerful self-loathing turn out to be dangerous, violent, reproducing the enemy who had humiliated them over and over. These awful shootings always remind me of Carrie, in which a badly damaged young girl lashes out at the ones who have been so cruel to her. She destroys them all. The 19-year-old boy old in this latest disaster, now referred to as a monster, had no superpowers, just an AR-15 and full clips of ammunition, and a terrible desire to hurt back. I really don't think a law would have stopped him, but I understand the urgency to do something, and maybe a new law would act like a placebo, where because people think that because they are given some good medicine, their health improves. I think the situation is worse than that. Someone said to me this country is diseased to the core. I can't disagree. I think he meant morally, but it's like our crumbling infrastructure. A friend of mine has blood cancer. They're treating it with chemotherapy and radiation, which means they're just about killing him in order to save him. And I think we would have to do something like that, some kind of radical treatment, instead of thinking that a magic bullet, a new law, is going to take care of us and our children. We won't do it, what needs to be done. We'll rely on magic instead.